Hi, my name's John Fazio, and if you're watching this video, then you're dealing with a foreclosure situation and you're looking to hire a foreclosure defense attorney. When you're looking for a foreclosure defense attorney, it's important that you make sure that you find somebody who is able to do the entire job from the beginning to the end. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Maybe you bought a major appliance and when the day came for it to be delivered, it turned out that assembly was not included, or even worse yet, the appliance was dropped off curbside. And it was kind of like a hit and run where you were left to bring in this very bulky thing and you had to figure out how to put it together all by yourself. You want a lawyer that's going to be able to help you to achieve your outcome and get to your goal, which is usually, for most of our clients, to save their home, or get a loan modification or preserve their equity. So you need to make sure that you found somebody who can do those things. You're going to look at a number of different criteria to evaluate the people that you speak to, who are going to be your potential attorney. You want to look at value, results, approach, personality fit, cost, and budget. So when we talk about value, it's important to keep in mind that you're looking for somebody that is actually going to get done what you need to get done. And we're talking about a budget. We want to look at the total cost over the entire time, both in terms of what they're going to do and the results. There's a saying that I like to tell my clients, which is that a good attorney knows the law, but a great attorney knows the judge. And there's a lot of attorneys that have a hammer and see every case as a nail, but you might need to do a bankruptcy like you need a hole in the head. What you are trying to do is to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. And you want somebody who has familiarity with the court system, who is familiar with the judges that might be involved in your case, who knows the bank's lawyer, who has the ability to curate and guide the loan modification process, who knows the different types of loan modification criteria very well, as well as somebody who can handle the underlying litigation and keep the pressure off while you work towards that result and that outcome that is important to you. I like to say that, your home is everything. It's where your family lives. It's the roof over your head. It's where memories are made. And when it's something that's this important, I would suggest to you that going for the low-cost option is often not the best thing to do. Not only that, but the costs that many lawyers charge can come in a variety of different forms. There's lawyers that offer a very low, one-time flat fee payment. And a lot of people will ask us, oh, do you offer a flat fee? But any lawyer that's doing that isn't going to be able to serve you and isn't a results-oriented individual. Their incentives are to get your money and do the least amount of work that they can on the case so that they can work on other profitable matters, bring in other clients. Conversely, there's some attorneys that are going to charge you a monthly rate, which is disguised as being very, very low. It could be $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. Experienced attorneys that are really practicing their craft at the highest level will generally ask for an upfront retainer, and they'll charge you by the hour, which marries the amount of results that you're looking for, which it costs time and labor to get, with the cost of the service. The ones that do a monthly fee are not really incentivized to get you a result quickly, which, if it were possible, is what you really want. You don't want this hanging over your head forever. You don't want to be living with this stress. The whole reason you're calling the attorney is to get you out of the problem and to solve it, not to keep it going so that it becomes a cash cow for a law firm that's doing a monthly fee. So the best attorneys are going to charge a retainer so that they know that they've been paid for the initial work they're going to do, and they're going to charge you an hourly rate for the work that they're going to do, and the hourly rate is going to depend on who's doing the work. They're going to have experienced staff members who are paralegals who are going to be able to do some of the less costly tasks that require a non-lawyer, that don't need a lawyer's presence. They're going to have the lawyer appear in court and negotiate on your behalf with the bank and the bank's lawyers. And they're going to have a system in place to handle these various tasks in a way that is designed to get you an outcome. And they're going to have these tasks choreographed and blended together in a nice little package that's going to hopefully get you the best possible result that you can get with your particular situation. If you find yourself speaking with an attorney that tells you that we can file a bankruptcy for you, or that says your best results are going to be in the bankruptcy forum, or a lawyer that says, hey, we're going to litigate this and try to win the case against the bank, then you may be dealing with somebody who doesn't have your best interests at heart, or might not be the right fit for your particular foreclosure situation. And the reason that I say that is this: bankruptcies are a last resort, and it's a powerful tool, but it's just one tool in the toolbox. And many homeowners will find it more difficult to get back into home ownership if they have a bankruptcy on their record, or if their credit is actually pretty good, or they have some good income, they may find themselves disqualified from getting loans in the future because they did the bankruptcy, at least for a period of time. So if you can rehabilitate your loan, if you can get on a forbearance or repayment plan, if you can modify your loan, or take one of these steps that will take this negative credit remark and remove it without the nuclear option of doing a bankruptcy, you need to know first if you can accomplish this without a bankruptcy. Also, in terms of time, bankruptcies are the nuclear option. If you use one before you are at the very end of the case and you start with that, a lot of the other less extreme options are harder to accomplish after you've already done a bankruptcy. And so you don't want to start there. Secondly, if you go to a lawyer who says they're going to win the case against the bank, we're going to get them to show us the note and we're going to do this. Yes, we're all foreclosure defense lawyers are going to take those approaches. But if you're being told or guaranteed by a lawyer that they're going to win the case against the bank, you got to look at the odds. The odds of winning a case where the case gets thrown out are, certainly less than, I would say, 3% of all of the foreclosure defense cases, because once there's a recorded mortgage, even if it's been assigned around and passed around like a hot potato, most of the judges are going to eventually give the bank the ability to foreclose if nothing else happens to get the case off their docket. So that's why knowing the judge is important. It's important to know what the judge on your case traditionally does, how they handle cases, and what your lawyer has done in the past with this particular judge or their colleagues to get a result, and what kinds of relief that they're comfortable providing to homeowners, and how they're going to react to different arguments and different filings. So if the lawyer has a familiarity and a good relationship with the court and can tell you something about what they're likely to do in different circumstances, you should take that to heart, and then you know that you're dealing with a lawyer who actually is results oriented, because they know what results they can get from different stakeholders. Similarly, if they can tell you something about the law firm you're going up against, or the servicer that you're dealing with, whether it's NationStar, Mr. Cooper, or one of these other SPS, one of these servicers that is common, and what kind of relief they're likely to give given a particular investor being involved, then you're starting to get onto the right track of somebody who has some experience in how to get results with these particular stakeholders, not just in their craft. You don't just want a bankruptcy lawyer or a foreclosure lawyer who in the abstract knows how to file paperwork, because it's the result of filing that paperwork that you really ultimately care about, not the fact that they can get it filed or that they can do these tasks. So be very careful in vetting the attorney to make sure that they have the right experience, and so that you're getting a good value for your money that you're actually spending. The results will speak for themselves at the end of the case, and no lawyer can guarantee you a result. But at least if they're striving for a result and they have a reasonable approach as to how they're going to get there, then you know that you've got, number one, good value for your money. Number two, somebody who's focused on the result. Number three, somebody who has a sensible approach. And then what it comes down to is whether you can get along with this person, whether it's somebody you can speak to, because they're going to be guiding you through this process and giving you advice and telling you what you should do. So it's got to be somebody you're comfortable with on a personal level. And then the budget, right? A lot of lawyers will tell you what the upfront cost is, and people put a disproportionate amount of weight on that. But the cost of the entire process, which varies depending on what happens along the way. You're trying to hit a moving target, so nobody's going to be able to objectively price out a case that's in court at the very beginning, but they can tell you, if they're a good attorney, what the cost will depend upon and what the cost would be under different scenarios, roughly, based on their experience with other similar cases. And then they can tell you, depending on how things go with your given approach, what's likely to be the ultimate cost over time and what you're going to get for your money. And they can give you some parameters as to what it's going to be, and hopefully they'll tell you something like what we tell our clients, which is that we will work within the budget that you have and that we will give you options and choices that along the way as you hit different milestones as far as what you can do and how much roughly it's going to cost to take those steps, and then put the ball back in your court if it's something that, as it often is a choice in the litigation as to whether or not to take on that additional cost or whether to go in a different direction. So you want an attorney that can hit a moving target, that has the flexibility to pursue different courses depending on your changing circumstances. Because a lot of people come into a foreclosure situation and they're in all different financial straits, and they're in all different straits with their family makeup, and they're in all different straits with the amount of stress that they're under and with what's going on with them. And you need somebody that can tailor the approach to you, that isn't going to just do what they would prefer, regardless of cost or regardless of your level of temerity to get into a giant fight. And we have clients that really want to fight it out with the bank, that take this personally. And sometimes we have to calm those clients down a little bit and say, well, if you're going to get a good deal, do you really care about going after this big amorphous company that's never going to know whether you won or not? And if it's somebody who is ready to just throw in the towel day one, then sometimes we got to say, well, look, you do have options, and here's some things that could likely happen if you put up a fight, and you should, assert those rights and put those arguments out there and take those steps to see what can be done here before you give up all hope. So anywhere along that spectrum that you might be, you could be somewhere in the middle, very practical, or you could be at one of those two ends of the spectrum. And whatever the case may be, your lawyer needs to be able to understand where you're coming from and understand what your goals are and what approaches you're comfortable taking and can afford. And if you find somebody that can do all that, then you've got the right person. And hopefully that's going to lead to a good outcome on your case, lead to a lot of stress-free nights where you don't have to have so much uncertainty, and which will ultimately hopefully result in a good outcome that you can be happy with at the end. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have questions or would like to put some comments down below with some questions about how to choose the right foreclosure defense attorney in New Jersey, I'd be happy to answer those. Thanks a lot.